So first of all, thank you very much for taking the time out of your day. I know you're all very busy these days. We're all super busy, and it's wonderful to have you here. So the first thing, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping with you. Now turn off everything in the background on your computers like Skype, email, iTunes, or whatever your thing is, so you can minimize the possibility of being knocked out of the webinar. Now next door they've just started up the chainsaw again, so I can imagine you can hear that. Anyway, silence your phones, close the door so you can focus on how to make this whole thing work for you. Multitasking is well and truly overrated. Now stay until the end because I've got a great bonus for you, and also we're going to have that live Q&A so you can ask me whatever you want. Now if by chance the sound disappears, just refresh your screen or even go out and come back in with the same link. I mean, this can happen, and I've got no clue why, but I know when I'm on other webinars, that's what I do. I refresh or I go out, find the link, and come back in again. Now, just one other thing from my end. Technology can fail and has failed before during webinars. Once upon a time, my whole computer crashed. And that was panic stations. And once your computer crashes, it can take quite a while to get it back up again. So just know that I'm doing what I can to get back. So have a cup of tea, read a magazine, or whatever you want. All right, I've just brought up my little chat box. We'll take that to another screen so you can't see it. So today, I'm going to teach you how to wrangle this demon called irritable bowel syndrome into submission and kick it into touch. There are 6 elements I want to go over with you to get on the right track. I mean, today it's completely ridiculous for anybody to be suffering from diarrhea, constipation, bloating, cramping from a wonky gut. So let's spread this information and get everybody sorted sooner rather than later. But first, who am I? Many of you will know me from my blog, Strands of My Life, but some of you here won't. My name is Suzanne Perezzini, and I'm a nutritional therapist, author, and low Fodmap diet coach. I've suffered from IBS all my life, and I can remember as a child being obsessed with the toilet, and that's one of the first signs of IBS, by the way. Most people apparently are not obsessed with the toilet, and I always had to spend ages in there, and I certainly couldn't understand why my sisters could run in and out in a couple of minutes and it was all over. And I'm still today, even though I don't take that long in there and don't go that often, I'm still envious of those people who can run in and out in a couple of minutes once a day. But there's a lot of things I wish I could do that I can't, and that's unfortunately one of them. So I spent decades, as I said, obsessed with the toilet. I said no to invitations because they might expose my secret, because this is a secret affliction, as you know. It's embarrassing. I went to so many health practitioners, from the medically qualified to the more bizarre end of the spectrum with voodoo practices, all in an attempt to find out why I was so different from everybody else. Now, none of them had an answer, even though, of course, they all had an opinion. And when you pay money, and I spent a lot of money, they feel obliged to give you an opinion. And, of course, throw in some medication or some obscure herbs, as you well know. Now, the number of times I heard that I should be eating more fruit, more vegetables, more fiber, I couldn't count them on both hands and toes. And of course we now know that that's the worst advice of all. But I kept going away and trying it over and over again. They say that if something's not working, change it. So don't ask me why I didn't change it for so long. And I mean, like you, I guess I believed that they knew more than me, but I was wrong, and in the end I had to do it all by myself. And thank heavens for the invention of the internet. So I Googled and Googled until the internet over the years caught up with what I needed, and eventually I heard about the low Fodmap diet. And I ignored it at first, of course, like I'm sure all of you have done it once or twice, because it's so complex, such a complex beast. I mean, lactose-free, give me that. That's easy. And I tried it mistakenly for years. In fact, I don't have a problem with lactose. Gluten-free, simple. Cut out the guilty grains and it's done. But FODMAPs are nearly all foods, so we can't do a slash and burn on them or we'd die from malnutrition. It would leave us just with protein, meats and fat, and that's how a dog eats. And a dog has a different digestive system to us. So it's complicated. It's about good foods and bad foods, yes, but it's also about amounts, combinations and accumulation. I mean, heavens, who's got the time to work that all out? I thought I didn't, so I kept ignoring it. But one day, I was desperate enough to skip to a stop, and I actually read a bit further. And oh yes, that's exactly what I needed. And it had to be the most complex diet on earth, didn't it? And so began a time of intensive research and experimentation. Because this was several years ago, and this was before there was really anything out there. But I knew I was onto something. And I can get pretty stubborn when I get my teeth stuck into something, and I persevered through all the hiccups, all the disappointments, while I figured it out. So now, let's jump to today. My life's been completely revolutionized by this diet, and also some other lifestyle changes I've made. I used to sit in a crappy office. There I am, trying to look happy. That was a while ago now. With a cranky boss giving me headaches, while also trying not to go to the toilet too often because, I mean, that's frowned upon. Productivity is the name of the game in a corporate office. Now that I'm out of that, I can really say that I was in a mess back then. So don't let that smile fool you. I was barely hanging on by my back teeth. So while still in the corporate world, I sorted my health, the diet, and because I was finally getting the nutrients from the food that I was eating instead of passing them down undigested into the bowel, which is where they cause the havoc, I had some energy flow back through my body and through my brain. And so I made the infinitely sensible decision to get the hell out of that office. And I did it very abruptly too. Walked out for Christmas and never came back. And I now work from home as an online coach, teaching people how to implement this fabulous but complicated diet, and also how to make those lifestyle changes which are so essential to support the diet. I help people every day to become well, and I work with people from all over the world, which is amazing, still amazing to me. I've had clients in India, in Belgium, Colombia, Ecuador, Switzerland, and of course many, 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 many clients from the US and the UK, as well as Australia and New Zealand, and many other countries than what are there on the screen. But that was just a bit of a diverse collection, I thought. I now live my life on my own terms, and it really is, I can put it all down to that little thing called the low Fodmap diet, because it lifted an impossibly heavy burden from my life. I have IBS just like you, and believe me, I know you're suffering. Because if you were on this webinar with me, it's because you need some help, right? You need help to get this monster off your back. It dominates your every thought, your every decision, as it did mine. And I know you want to be free of this because it's a humiliating condition, and you want to be able to eat out with your friends and family without making a fuss or paying for a bellyache. Now that, by the way, is my family. There's more of them at this end you can't see. It's my son on the left, you can only see the side of his face, my nephew, my husband on the right, my mother next to him, and other members of the family. I just thought I would pop that in there. But, you know, you also want to be able to work and travel simply to lead a normal life. And I get it. And it really is right there in front of you if you take the time and you have the determination to take the next step and to do this thing. Like me, you're probably putting off committing because you're so busy. Maybe you'll do it when the house has got sold. Maybe you'll do it when the kids have left home. Or maybe after Christmas, which is still 6 months away. I mean, what's wrong with you? Why would you want to suffer even one day longer than necessary? We humans are so full of excuses why we shouldn't be taking action now. I mean, we all do it. It's even got a name for it, procrastination. I mean, that's the scourge of humanity, along with perfectionism. But that's a whole nother story. I could do a whole webinar on perfectionism, which does not help your IBS, by the way. Now, all I'm telling you is that this can be done. I did it. My clients do it. You can eliminate IBS symptoms. There's no cure, though. So don't think that this is this magic button. It's not. But we can control IBS instead of letting it control us, and that's massive. And you'd be surprised how fast it works if you've got the right guidance to not muck it up. I get emails from people every day who have tried the low Fodmap diet and failed because they don't have all the little pieces of this diet in place, and that's sad. I've got no idea how many people give up on this diet because they get it wrong. I'd probably be horrified because this can save you. This is not a fad diet without any scientific basis to it, like lots of others out there on the internet that are created from thin air. This is the only one that's been scientifically proven to work. It's a medical diet. The research team at the Monash University did a randomized, double-blind, placebo-based research study, and it showed that 75% of people with IBS are significantly helped by the low Fodmap diet, and that's their words. The University of Michigan, just last year, they did their own comprehensive study and reached pretty much the same conclusions. I mean, not that I need any proof, this kind of scientific proof, because I've got my own proof. It eliminated my symptoms, and it's eliminated hundreds and hundreds of my clients' symptoms as well. But you've been on a tough journey to get here, and you might need proof because you've tried so many things and they haven't worked. So why should this? Well, I'm sorry, but you do have to try one more thing. And I'm going to tell you the 6 elements to put this all together right now. And I forgot to mention, I do have 2 great bonuses for you at the end, but I'll tell you about those soon. But let's get stuck into this. So the 6 crucial elements for a successful low Fodmap diet. Now, first let me tell you that the elimination stage of the low Fodmap diet needs to be done 100% accurately or not at all. Now, I know that sounds dramatic, but this is not a diet like the lactose-free or gluten-free one where you can just eliminate those elements and you're done. Because FODMAPs are in everything, as I mentioned, except protein, meats, and fat, we can't just eliminate them. It's about regulating very carefully how many FODMAP-containing foods we allow into our gut at any one time, so at any one meal. Small amounts will be absorbed in the small intestine, but not large amounts. And the excess goes off down into the large intestine where it gets fermented and causes much of your problems, the bloating, the excess gas, diarrhea, constipation, etc. So let's have a look at the first of the crucial elements of an accurate low FODMAP diet, and that is amounts. Now, the Monash University, as I mentioned, where the low FODMAP diet was developed and where there's still ongoing research into the FODMAP content of food. So they've got an ever-expanding list of foods they've tested. And there's a line that they draw across the list. And those above a high FODMAP and those below a low FODMAP. And yes, I know my picture has it with the line going downwards and not across, but same idea. On the left, a low FODMAP, on the right, a high FODMAP. So we can only eat those to the left of the line, but that upper limit of low FODMAP before it tips over the line into high FODMAP is just a line. It's not set in concrete for us as individuals. For example, because fructose is my biggest trigger, I can only eat about half the permitted amounts of fruit before my symptoms are triggered. So they might say 20 blueberries are fine, I have only 10. So you can probably start to see the complexity of this diet. It's individual, and it's about testing even while on the elimination diet. So even the low FODMAP foods. Of course, on the elimination diet, you eat only low FODMAP foods at this stage, but what I'm saying is that those upper limits might be too high for you. Again, with bananas, I only eat half a banana. And as we know now, the Monash University has just reversed their information about bananas, and we can no longer have ripe bananas, only barely ripe bananas. The second element is combinations. Let's say you've got the amounts worked out because you've got the Monash app and it tells you the amounts, but you're still struggling. The next thing to look at is the combinations. You make a mixed fruit salad for yourself with a banana, 8 strawberries, 20 blueberries, 10 raspberries. You're feeling very virtuous because a fruit salad is healthy, surely, and you've stuck to the correct amounts on the list, but you get a gut ache. So why is that? It's because you've just made a high FODMAP mashup. You've added together the fructose and the strawberries with the fructose and the blueberries with the fructose and the raspberries, etc. So why do you think that's okay? 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 4. So that's 4 times the permitted FODMAP level for that meal. So no wonder you're feeling sick. You can't eat poorly all day or not at all and then pile all your nutrient needs into one meal. It will add up to high FODMAP for sure. And that leads us on to element number 3, meal spacing and size. We can't eat big meals because our gut can't tolerate it, but also because usually a large meal would add up to high FODMAP for sure. Remember that our gut is hypersensitive. If it gets stretched, we feel it as pain, whereas somebody else doesn't. So we need 5 small meals a day. There's some possibilities. And in this way, we spread our nutrient needs out through those 5 meals. Since health guidelines tell us that we should have 5 to 6 vegetables a day, and we know we can't have too many at any one time, then we basically need vegetables at every meal, including breakfast and snacks. I know that sounds strange, but it's the only way to get enough. If we only ate 3 meals, we would never get what we needed nutritionally. And we would also be very hungry in between, since we can't eat a lot at any one time. Hence the 5 small meals a day. My suggestion is that you schedule your meals in your diary before anything else, and that they stay non-negotiable. Right? So most people schedule their appointments, their life, and then they fit their meals in around it. We have to do the opposite. Get our schedule open, put in our meals, and then schedule the rest of our life. But eventually this becomes easier and you won't need a reminder in your schedule because your body will know the routine and it'll tell you when it's hungry. Our bodies love routines for the basics of life like sleeping, eating, and toileting. That actually frees us up to live the rest of our lives more creatively. There's been research that shows that as long as the basics have a routine, we are freer to be creative and to be spontaneous. Now, in order to work out that set in stone routine, you need to know that you have to space your meals 3 to 4 hours apart, eating your first meal within 30 minutes of getting out of bed so that you don't have gas accumulating. And we need to leave around 3 hours in between so that the cleansing wave can pass through the gut. It's like a broom that goes through and cleans it out. But not much longer than 4 hours, really stretching it the 4 hours. Or all the digestion's finished and gas will be accumulating in the digestive system. And of course, gas is one of our problems. So work that out to fit into your waking hours. But also make sure that you have your last meal at least 3 hours before bed, or you'll still be digesting in bed and that will cause you problems. Now, the next 3 elements we're going to look at concern low Fodmap gut irritants. So we're not talking about the Fodmaps anymore. We're talking about on top of the Fodmaps, these things are a problem. So Fodmaps don't take care of everything. So the first of these is fat. Fat is a gut irritant, and the tolerable level will be different for each of us. Obviously, we need fat because every cell in our body requires it, so we can't cut it out completely, and we can't keep it too low. But there will be the fine line between okay and triggering your symptoms, and you have to find that fine line for you. It'll be different to my line or anyone else's. I mean, a drizzle of olive oil on a small salad could be okay, but perhaps deep-fried chips would not be okay. Even though it's potatoes, so it's low Fodmap, there'd be too much fat in it. And just by the way, if you have had your gallbladder removed, which is common among many of my clients, then you have to eat a lower fat diet than the rest of us. Now, I mean, I never advocate buying processed food because of the additives. They're often a gut irritant, but also they can contain a lot more fat than you would imagine. And just another one, salmon. It's a very healthy fish with its omega-3, but it's also very fatty. It's an oily fish. So you've got to watch out how much you can eat before it causes issues. I mean, salmon has no Fodmaps. It's a protein meat. So you might think that you can eat as much as you want, but the fat issue makes that not the case. So we're allowed, according to the health regulations and guidelines, 4.4 ounces of meat or fish, which is about 125 grams. For salmon, I would cut that to about half. And just see, you might be able to eat a little bit more than that. Now, another one is peanut butter. Low Fodmap, but the amount could certainly quite easily, quickly cross the fat tolerance line. So I can have a couple of teaspoons before that fat starts to irritate me. You could probably have a bit higher. So don't let the Fodmap content of everything dictate every choice you make for your diet. So now the second non-Fodmap gut irritant is fiber. So too much fiber can cause horrendous problems for us, and yet the doctors still give us fiber supplements to take. So please throw them all out and your gut will immediately feel better whether you're constipated or not. Yes, we need fiber to form good stools which pass easily, but too much, and it will cause a lot of bloating and actually stop up that stool. So we need it, but we have to once again find the level that keeps our bowels moving nicely while not causing IBS symptoms. Now you'll get fiber in your vegetables, so make sure you have those 5 or 6 a day, as I've already said. Also, grains contain fiber, and grains in particular like brown rice and quinoa will give you a good hit. But test them in small amounts and then increase until you reach the amount that bloats you, and then pull back. Some of you might not be able to tolerate brown rice at all. It's quite a harsh form of fiber. Others will be able to get away with a permitted cupful. So if you have constipation, the first step I suggest is to start with a tablespoon of chia seeds. Have them for breakfast, soak them overnight in water. It just makes them more digestible, and have those with your breakfast. You can decrease or increase that amount if you need to, but they're a reasonably easily digested form of fiber if you've soaked them. And then, as I say, make sure you get something like quinoa into your diet every day. Now, there are other gut irritants like caffeine and alcohol, but the last element I want to talk about, let's just back up a moment. Caffeine and alcohol, you can cut them out completely. It can make life a little sad, yes, but you can cut them out completely, and it only benefits your body, so just know that. So the last one I want to go on to is personal gut irritants. Now, about 20% of my clients also have their own little baggage of food issues that right outside the scope of Fodmap, or even the above irritants like the fat and the fiber. So these have to be pinpointed very carefully, and you really need to be a detective to work this out. The other 80% at this point will be symptom-free if they've managed to get all their ducks in a row. But this particular 20% will still have some issues, and that's why you have to find out your personal gut triggers. I've had so many clients now pass through my coaching program that I see some common threads of triggers, but still something can surprise me, so the sky's the limit on this. One of the most obvious ones could be casein in dairy, which is the protein part, as opposed to lactose, which is the carbohydrate part. But I've really only had a tiny percentage of clients who have a problem with the casein in dairy. It could be the salicylates in nuts, and seeds also have them. The salicylates is a natural protection that the plant has against the reproductive part of the plant. It's a toxin to stop animals from eating it too much. And we are animals, of course. It could even be something like the oxalic acid in spinach. The list is long. So you'll have to stay on the elimination diet and take these things out one at a time until you hit the culprit. Not easy, but doable. Okay? So that's the final piece of the puzzle, those personal gut irritants. And this is a complicated puzzle to put together. It's really hard to get it right, but if you get it right, you will experience a miracle. No more IBS symptoms. So now you've got all that information, don't you dare make any more excuses about after Christmas or after the renovation. This will change your life, and it'll change the lives of your family, because don't think for a second that this doesn't affect everybody around you. I bet you're a cranky pants most of the time because you're either in discomfort or in out-and-out pain. And you get your knickers in a twist about all sorts of things that are simple for other people, like eating out, going for a trip, work events. A client of mine, Rachel, said this: after some convincing of my husband, who realized how much I'd been struggling to find things to eat, I joined the low Fodmap diet program, and just the other day he said that it was life-changing for me. Calm belly, calm mind. Now, a happy spouse, who doesn't want that? I want you to be able to go hot air ballooning. And there's no toilet in a balloon, and I know that because I did it in Egypt. I want you to go kayaking down the Grand Canyon. Again, no toilet. In fact, I'm probably not ever going to do that. But what do they do when they need to go to the toilet? I've got no idea. How about mountain climbing? No toilet up there either. Or simply enjoying a family get-together, knowing that you won't get a bellyache. Really simple things that you want. Sue, another client, sent me this email, and this is precious. I've been walking the dog without fear. Being fearless about going out is such a great feeling. I've been walking with confidence. Over the years, I've noticed my freedom slipping away, and losing the ability to be outdoors has been a great loss to me. The freedom to be mobile again without fear is a prayer answered, and so is this diet. I'm putting my health first, which is a rarity. I haven't felt this good in years. And IBS doesn't just affect women, although a lot more women than men get it, unfortunately. Something to do with our hormones, apparently. But a male client also sent me an email expressing how much more freedom he now had. On Saturday, my wife and I took a 3-hour drive to the ocean. This is the first drive beyond 45 minutes that I've taken in the last 2 years, and the only recreationally oriented drive beyond 15 minutes. We are planning additional trips. I have much more energy. I'm working much more. I had a business lunch with a client last week, and it went just fine. I could cry. So I guess men cry too. And you'll get worse, you know. You can't starve your body of nutrients for too long before a whole raft of other health issues raise their ugly heads. Now, most of my clients have a long list of ailments that would fill in an encyclopedia. Things from fibromyalgia to depression, reflux, gallbladder issues, and so on and so forth. And not surprisingly, many of these issues start to improve once the diet's corrected, and lifestyle changes have to be made as well, of course. I've had many clients able to go off their medication for depression with the guidance of their doctor, obviously. And reflux, there's no need to be taking any reflux medication at all. Now, Sylvia Vincent, a very grateful client, wrote this. Now I have a different toolkit that better suits the body. I've been able to repair and rebuild a very sick body, improve my mind and family life. Saying I'm grateful is an understatement. And folks, this all works like magic when you get it right. Ed, a farmer in England I worked with, wrote this to me. I have not had a major IBS symptom in 4 months since starting the low Fodmap diet to the time of writing this. I am a new man. And Kelly, who was actually one of my very first clients many years ago, wrote, I feel like I have all the weapons I need to tackle my digestive problems for the rest of my life. So let me ask you a question. Are you also ready to be symptom-free, to be able to work, play, travel, be with your kids, socialize without fear, without having to look out to where that nearest toilet is? Believe me, I know all about that. Anyway, I'm going to tell you how I can help you to reach that place in just 2 weeks. Yes, just 2 weeks. So no more fluffing around trying to do this by yourself, trying to figure out the amounts, the combinations, all the various puzzle pieces that need to be slotted into place while you're still in pain. So how are we going to do this? So if it's all right with you, I'm just going to take a moment to show you how we can eliminate your symptoms together in just a couple of weeks. Right, I get very excited at the beginning of each low Fodmap diet formula workshop. And that's because I only do this 3 times a year, and the next one is starting on the 26th of June. This is your chance to wave goodbye to this horrible IBS once and for all, and to start your life over. That's what it feels like for most people once they've got this fixed. This workshop will give you everything you need to do this diet properly, to do it 100% so that your symptoms disappear like magic in 2 weeks. This will transform your life. But let me make this clear, this is not a self-study program where you're left to your own devices with a bunch of videos. I'm with you for the 2-week duration, guiding and supporting you, me, in person. So what will you learn in this workshop? You'll learn how to create a personalized, nutritionally balanced, low FODMAP meal plan, and they're based on detailed examples and templates that I give you. You'll learn how to find your optimum levels of those non-FODMAP related gut irritants like fiber, fat, and the various other ones that we've been talking about. You'll learn how to journal daily and include all the different data you need in order to analyze your progress and isolate your personal triggers. This is an essential part of learning how to be symptom-free, the journaling. And you'll learn how to analyze your life, your lifestyle, and take control back so that you can decrease your stress and live in a different way that supports your IBS. You'll learn how to integrate the diet into your daily life so that you can eat out, travel, work without issues. In other words, live a normal life. And you're going to finally get all those messy pieces of the puzzle put into place so that you can conquer your IBS symptoms once and for all. This is the link at the bottom where you go to join the program, www.strandsofmylife.com/free4ever. So what do you actually get in this workshop? You get meal plans, 14 days of delicious, nutritionally balanced, low FODMAP meal plans with recipes. This is so that we can quickly get rid of your IBS symptoms. Live training sessions. These are a lot of fun. So you get 2 live interactive training sessions. I'm explaining exactly how to use the meal plans, all the various nuances of the diet, alternative issues, all in detail. These sessions last a couple of hours. Now these will be held at times when you can attend, not in the middle of the night. However, just in case you can't attend, all the sessions are recorded so you don't miss out. There are 2 live Q&A sessions. So this is where you come with all your questions, but you also share your progress. Every single person gets to give a report on where they're up to and to ask their own questions. We're all face-to-face in these live sessions. We see each other. So that's why it's quite a bit of fun. You get my daily journal, which is for sale on Amazon, so that you get the PDF version of it so you can start the process of recording the various details on a daily basis. And you also get highly practical and motivating videos to walk you through the precise strategies you need to integrate the diet into your life. So these videos also have transcriptions. If you don't like listening to videos, you can just read about it all. Lots of worksheets with clear step-by-step exercises which will show you exactly how to implement what you've learned. And there's homework in them as well. You get a daily challenge. That's just to keep you on your toes and help you get your lifestyle in order so that your gut stays calm now that the food has been sorted. And there are 9 bonus videos which cover various topics like SIBO, constipation, reflux, eating low FODMAP on a budget, and many others. They're all there in the membership site for you to access. And on top of this, you do get a community. It's a private Facebook group just for this workshop. And that's where you come and you report every single day to me on how things are going, what you've written in your journal. You pop into Facebook and I comment on it and help you if you're still having some issues and help you get through this. This is really crucial for accountability as well as for the support. So the workshop starts Monday, 26th of June. That's in the US, which is actually the day after in New Zealand and Australia, the 27th. And it ends on Monday, the 10th of June. Now, the card is already opened, and that's where you go to at the bottom there, strandsofmylife.com/free forever. And the cart closes at midnight on the 20th of June. So it's already the 15th, 16th in the US, not sure. So you better put your decision-making panties on and jump in to get that toilet-free life that you crave. The link is there at the bottom. Just having a drink of water. So let's just quickly summarize what you get in the workshop. So 14 days of meal plans with recipes, 4 live sessions for training, support, and Q&As, my IBS daily journal, practical and motivating how-to videos, step-by-step worksheets, daily lifestyle challenges, 9 bonus videos, and membership in the private Facebook group. Remember those bonuses I spoke about before? Well, there's 2 of them. So you're going to, if you join the workshop within the next 48 hours, you're going to get not just a templated meal plan, you're going to get a customized 7-day meal plan created specially for you. I'll send you a questionnaire which you fill out, and your first week of meal plans will be made especially with you, with your likes and dislikes taken into account. Now, I sell these for $49, but that will be all included in this. And on top of that, bonus number 2 is a 30-minute phone call before the start of the program, so you can tell me your personal story and we can nut some things out before we start, all right, about your particular individual situation. Now, the value of the phone call is $50, so add that to the meal plans and you've got almost $100 of bonuses just for deciding to solve your IBS problems. So how much is this 2-week interactive workshop going to cost you? How much is it going to cost to get your life back in just 2 weeks? It's just $299 US. And you're getting that $100 of bonuses. So then it's only $199. And all you need to do is join. You go on to www.strandsofmylife.com/free forever and join there. You sign up, you'll be taken straight to the membership hub where you can already start watching the bonus videos and you can access the IBS Daily Journal and the meal plans immediately, even though we haven't started. Now, if you need to contact me to ask me any questions, there's an email address on the screen, support@strandsofmylife.com. Now, think about how much you've already spent on your IBS issues with no results, probably thousands of dollars. Probably more than you'd like to actually think about. I know you would spend that and more if you thought it would solve your gut problems once and for all. You'd spend $10,000 if you thought you'd get your health back, get relief. Now that's what I'm going to do for you. Get your health back, and that's just for the $299 and including the 2 bonuses. I mean, you'd probably spend that in a weekend eating out, going shopping, perhaps to a show with a few drinks beforehand. And at the end of it, what have you got to show for it? Nothing. Nothing at all. So let me show you how this $299 is going to change your life. In fact, I'm going to let you hear it from one of my past workshop participants. So this is Janet Revidew. She said, "The workshop with Suzanne has been a life-changing experience and I highly recommend it to everyone who suffers from IBS. Prior to the workshop, I was chained to the toilet and suffered pain and bloating after eating. IBS was interfering with every aspect of my life. Everything changed with the workshop and Suzanne's guidance with the low Fodmap diet. I learned so much and my symptoms disappeared immediately. I'm excited about the future and know that I can live a full life without symptoms. The care and knowledge that Suzanne gave each of the participants is invaluable. And I've got many, many testimonials like that, but I'm just showing you the one. And let me read you a great quote. This is not from a client. This is from Laurie Goodwin. Even in times of trauma, we try to maintain a sense of normality until we no longer can. That, my friends, is called surviving, not healing. We never become whole again. We are survivors. If you are here today, you are a survivor. But those of us who have made it through hell and are still standing, we bear a different name, warriors. So now you have two choices. The first choice, do nothing and keep suffering. The second option is to take action today and get your life back so that your future is bright and unlimited. Do you want to join the 75% of IBS sufferers who have done this diet and are now symptom-free? If so, just do it, dive in, get yourself sorted, not just for you, but for your family and friends. This diet works like magic when you know what you're doing. I give you only what works so you can eliminate your symptoms in the shortest possible time while getting the support all the way through. This is a super interactive workshop where you have me on tap all the way with questions and support. There's the link again, strandsofmylife.com/free4ever. But don't dally around, because those two valuable bonuses, the customized meal plans and the personal phone call, they're only going to be for 48 hours starting from the end of the Q&A. And that's just because there has to be a cutoff point, or I don't know who was on the webinar, who wasn't. And if you do that and fill out the questionnaire, you'll just be telling me that you came from the webinar, and that will be free. But I'll give you more information about that. So let's get you symptom-free for the rest of your life. But right now, we're going to go on to the Q&A. If you've got any questions about anything I have said or about the workshop. Right now I'm going to stop the sharing so that I can then get to your questions. I have to find them. Put your questions into the Q&A box, not into the chat. All right, let me bring that up. And I'll bring myself back as well. Okay, so pop any questions into the Q&A, or anything about the program, anything about anything I've said about the 6 different crucial elements to keep you symptom-free. The guy with the chainsaw has stopped, and I am so pleased about that. I'm just looking out the window to see where he's gone. I think he's gone. I don't know if you could hear that in the background, just right at the beginning, that was. All right, questions, bring your questions in to the chat. Normally with my webinars, I get hundreds of questions. We've got one, can we record this for ourselves? I don't think so. I don't think Zoom allows you to do that. Let me bring up the chat box here. But somebody has said the workshop stops on the July the 10th. The video shows June the 10th. So just to get it clear, the cart closes in a couple of days. The workshop is 2 weeks, starts on the 26th of June, and that would make it finishing probably, yes, about July the 10th. Did I say June the 10th? Possibly. Sorry if I did. All right, somebody recorded it on their iPhone. Well, there you go. There's always somebody who's got a bright idea on how to do that. Now, I am getting these questions in the chat. Make sure you go into the Q&A for the questions, but I can see one here. Do you think IBS is a cause of weight problems? And if so, does Fodmap help with this? Now, that's a question I've had quite a few times before. As we know, the low FODMAP diet obviously is not a weight loss or a weight gain program at all. In fact, while doing this, we prefer you to be stable, for your weight to be stable, because losing or gaining weight puts a strain on the body, and you're already doing an elimination diet, so it's best not to. Having said that, a lot of my clients do initially lose a bit of weight. I think a lot of that's bloating, and also just getting rid of processed foods and junk food can make an enormous difference to your diet. On the low FODMAP diet, as people with IBS, we cannot eat processed food, or only processed food that's got 1 or 2 ingredients in it, because we know that the chemicals in processed food increase the hypersensitivity of the gut, and our gut is already hypersensitive, so why would we want to increase that? So the diet, you see, there's non-FODMAP foods like the protein meats, where you can eat as much or as little as you want from a FODMAP point of view, although you do have to follow health guidelines for that. And also, if you find that you're putting on weight or you're wanting to lose a bit, instead of having, for example, a cup of cooked rice, which is the upper limit of rice, you have half a cup. So those are the things that you regulate yourself. Now, whether you can be overweight with IBS, yes, definitely. Even if you have malnutrition from a lack of good nutrients being absorbed in the gut, you can still be overweight because you're eating so many of those processed fatty foods and the types of foods that put on the weight but still continue to give you symptoms. So you can be fat and malnourished, and you can be skinny and malnourished as well. Right, now let me just get this away so I can see the questions. How many days is the workshop? So it's 14 days for the workshop, from a Monday to a Monday. And we have the 4 live sessions on the Mondays and the Thursdays. The Mondays are the training, when I do the training, but you also all get to talk during that, because, as I say, we're face to face and can see each other. We don't have to. You can turn off your video, or you can come on just with the phone, and then we hear you, but we don't see you. And on the Thursdays, we do the live Q&A session. I apologize, but I was late coming on board, but most diets require loads of water, like 8 glasses, and too many fluids always make me feel nauseated. Any suggestions? It is preferable to have around about 8 glasses of water a day, but you have to spread them out, because our gut can't tolerate being stretched too far by food. It also can't tolerate being stretched by water or any liquid. So the best thing to do is spread it right out through the day. Have one that you sip during a meal, and then one in between each meal. Definitely do not gulp down water. Do not reach the end of the day and think, oh, I haven't drunk enough water, and start slugging it back. That is going to make you feel really bad. If you feel nauseated, I suspect you might have some reflux, and loading water in is just going to increase that reflux. So you would have to sip it right throughout the day very carefully. I'm a sugar addict. Will this help me get off sugar? You will have to get off it. Now, a certain amount of sugar is fine on the low FODMAP diet, and funnily enough, it's not the so-called healthy ones like the honey and the agave syrup, which are high in fructose, but the plain table sugar or maple syrup, golden syrup, because the plain table sugar has 50% fructose and 50% glucose, and the glucose pulls the fructose cell for cell through the lining of the stomach and helps it to be absorbed. But the glucose gets fed up with this job after a while and stops doing it, and so then the excess fructose goes off down into the bowel and gets fermented. So we can have some, but not too much, and that will be different with each person. I like my sugar too, but I know what my limits are now to keep me safe. And that the great thing about this diet is that it takes away your symptoms, and that's enormous incentive to continue with it. Why would you want to go back to where you were? I mean, you might eat something wrong, you go back, and that's just a reminder of why you're doing this. Well, listen, I've been using the formal diet for a while and my condition has improved. However, when I'm hormonal, my symptoms are always worse no matter how well I eat. Can anything help this? We know that hormones play a great part in IBS, and in the second of my trainings in the workshop, I do quite a large part on hormones and how they affect us and what we can do to help with that. There's not a lot we can do to help, but understanding it already makes it much easier to bear, that's for sure. But yes, IBS and the hormones are linked. How many people are usually in the workshops? I cap it at 20. The one that I do in the middle of the year, which is this one, normally there's less than that. And this, I've got no idea why this is, as you go into the summer, whereas the one at the beginning of the year and the one at the end of the year, we reach that cap of 20. So this one's probably going to be a smaller group, which will be really good. But the thing is, even with 20, not everybody comes to the live sessions. Many people watch the recording, so we might have 10, perhaps, or even less on the live, the live sessions. And even in Facebook, not everybody joins the Facebook group, even though they're a part of the workshop, because you receive everything by email. You don't have to be on the Facebook group. It's just a really good place to give you a report every day and get my attention, so that I can help you if things are not going so well. I would like to attend, but will be on vacation in July. Could I still get all the information? You can be wherever you want in the world, as long as you've got a computer of some sort, your phone, whatever. Because even with your phone, you can join the live sessions, because you can phone in, or you can probably even join on your phone. Yes, you can join on your phone. So as long as you've got some sort of device with you, you can participate in absolutely everything. Look, I run my business from everywhere in the world, and I just take a laptop with me and run it. So certainly while you're on vacation, it's probably a really good time to be doing this, because you're not so busy. If you cannot attend all the sessions, when will you be having the next workshop? Now, remember, the sessions are all recorded, so you can go and listen to them in your own time. And even if you attend, you can still go to the recording. They're all in the membership hub. There's a whole membership hub where everything is. You'll find everything there, and I put the recordings. So you don't have to be live. Some people just never come to the live sessions because they're private people or they're busy. I don't know, that's your choice to do that. Some people prefer the recordings because they can stop and start them, I suppose. The next one will probably be at the end of the year. I have been tossing up not doing them. And this is not because they're not fantastic. I actually love doing them. It's because of the workload. I have a lot of one-to-one clients as well, and my whole business to run, which is the webinar and meal plans and different things that I do. So I'm thinking of what I can cut out, and it might be the workshops. But if I do one, it will be towards the end of the year. I've tried this diet briefly, but it is very restrictive, and I found trying to find things to eat hard, and I was so hungry. Okay. So you're on the elimination diet, hopefully only for a few weeks. And in fact, you should never stay on it longer than 6 weeks, because when we're on the elimination stage of the diet, we've taken out a lot of the prebiotics from the diet, and they are what regulate the gut bacteria. So we want to get some back in. I've never yet had a client who has a problem with all of the Fodmap groups. So we're always able to add at least one group, if not 2, if not 3 groups right back in, and that gets the prebiotics back into the diet. So you're not on the restrictive part for very long at all. So a little bit of short-term restriction for an enormous long-term gain, that's for sure. And it's still just food that we're eating. It's nothing particularly special. It's not processed food. It's just clean, good, wholesome food from the earth So it's vegetables, fruit, meats, and so on. So very easy to find, very easy to cook, and quite delicious to eat because we can have most spices and herbs and quite a few sauces as well. Now the hunger thing, Lynn, the hunger thing is an interesting one. In the first week when I put my clients on the diet, they complain about either being too hungry or too full. And that's because your gut is adjusting to a new eating regime, which is 3 hours apart. And we have two gut hormones in particular that regulate when you feel hungry and when you feel full. It's ghrelin and leptin. And they're a little bit out of whack when you start this. But also it's about balancing those meals, and my meal plans in the workshop are completely balanced to make sure you don't get hungry or too full. And it's about balancing between the protein and the carbohydrates. You must get that right or you'll be hungry before the 3 hours is up. And when we get hungry, that's when we make mistakes and eat the wrong things. So really essential that you get that part right. How much wine and coffee can I have per day on the diet? It's a good question. I allow my clients 1 cup of coffee or tea a day. Caffeine is a gut irritant. If you want to have decaffeinated, that's going to be a big advantage, certainly. And also caffeine causes reflux, and 80% of people with IBS have reflux. Same thing with alcohol. Causes reflux, causes IBS symptoms. If we can do without it, our gut's going to be a lot happier. But I confess I do not do without it. And I'm not going to say that you have to either. But we shouldn't really be having any more than like 3 or 4 drinks a week anyway for the health guidelines. So certainly not every day. Choose your days. For me, it's the weekend. And then I either have 3/4 of a glass of wine, or I actually have a little rum. And rum is high Fodmap, but I found if I keep it very low, that I get away with it. Most of the spirits are low Fodmap. It's about what you put with them that could be high Fodmap. But always remember that just because something's low Fodmap does not mean it's not a gut irritant, and that's the case with alcohol. Do you recommend taking probiotics? And one you would recommend. I actually don't recommend probiotics. Look, you're welcome to try them, certainly. Some will help, maybe. Some will hurt. They certainly have hurt me. And some will make no difference whatsoever except for less money in your pocket. The research for probiotics is still in its infancy. They don't know enough about IBS yet to create a probiotic that helps IBS specifically. One day they will, but not at the moment. Can your meal plans cater for vegetarians? I have vegetarian meal plans. I have a lot of vegetarian clients, so definitely yes. And if I find that I've got somebody on the workshop who's a vegetarian, then I put vegetarian meal plans into the membership hub for you. And I also do a section in the training for vegetarians if I find I have any on the program. All right. Now, I think that's all the questions, and I've answered them all. So if you want to ask any more questions, get them in quick, or if I've skipped one, please just put it in again and I'll see this. I'll see it. Just see if there's anything else in the chat that I should know about. So Moi says, I'm not experiencing such severe symptoms. This is what I have: bloating, alternative periods of diarrhea and constipation, long periods of wanting to throw up several times a day. A drop of essential oil mint usually solves that issue. A white tongue every morning. Do you think these are the first symptoms? Now, the severity of symptoms really vary from one of my clients. I don't know if she's on the webinar or not, who I have at the moment, went from somebody who was in and out of hospital and spending most of the time in bed to somebody outside gardening, decluttering their home, full of energy and excited after she's in week 6 of the of the 6-week coaching program, that is. But she, right from week 1, she was absolutely fine. 2 people who find it just disturbs their social life, disturbs their enjoyment of life, but they can kind of tolerate it. And I have clients like that too, where we just take them up the next notch. So those are all symptoms of IBS, but also of reflux. Of course, the nausea is reflux. And funnily enough, mint will cause more reflux. It helps IBS, but it will worsen your reflux. So not good for that at all. But it will be settling your stomach from an IBS point of view. The white tongue, that's why I thought of that particular client. When she started the program, she had a very white tongue. And she sent me an email after, I don't know, 3-4 days, I think it was, and said that she was so excited because she looked in the mirror and her tongue was pink. And her husband had come home and she'd poked out her tongue at him, and he was also just as excited to see a pink tongue rather than a white one. So it's probably a sign of malnutrition. You're not absorbing the nutrients in the food no matter how healthy you eat. That's the healthy according to the internet. It's not our healthy. Would I benefit from the 2 weeks program? Absolutely, Ma. You would certainly get rid of that swing from the diarrhea to the constipation. We'd make sure you didn't go to the constipation side, which is what can happen sometimes. The diarrhea stops really quickly and we can swing towards the constipation. But I've got a lot of training on the constipation side in the very first training. The bloating disappears within days. All right. And also a big section on reflux, because 80% of people have a problem with reflux. We do have to take care of that in the workshop as well. So you would benefit enormously from the workshop. And as I say, have it done and dusted in 2 weeks. By the way, this is the elimination part that we do in the 2 weeks, but in the last training I tell you exactly how to do the reintroduction part, so you can do that by yourself. Do I have a payment plan for the $2.99? At this stage I don't, but if you wanted to email me, we could certainly discuss that. Again, my email address is lowfodmapcoach@gmail.com. I actually have 3 of them, but that's one of them. I'm tired very often. Is bad breath related to IBS? Both of those are IBS symptoms. All my clients right across the board are tired, lacking in energy when they start, and that's because they're malnourished. That's exactly why they are tired. They're not getting enough nutrients into their body to give them the energy. That within a couple of days starts to go up. The body is like a sponge. The minute it starts getting the nutrition it needs and can absorb, that's the key, that the gut can absorb, it just sucks it in and the energy levels rise. It's the very first thing to happen is that clients email me, I can't believe I've got so much energy. Bad breath is connected to the reflux. It is a symptom of reflux. And we go over all the different symptoms of reflux in the workshop, because it's not just the common thing that most people think, which is the heartburn in the chest down here. You can have that, but you don't necessarily need to have that. There are other symptoms that mean that you have reflux. All right, so those were the questions that I could see in the chat box. All right, now I'll go back to the question 1. I've got a lot of screens here. I've got 3, but there's still not quite enough to control all this. That's why you can see my head going a long way to the left. I've got a screen right over to the left too. All right, I can't see any more questions there, or am I wrong? Wait a minute. Oh. I hadn't pulled the slider down the side. There are some more. Plan your meal plans right. There are so many videos on Facebook that will scare you to death about candida and yeast overgrowth. Is this a bunch of hooey or real? Look, I'm not going to say whether that's hooey or real, because there is a lot of information on the internet about that. I don't know anything about that. I don't have that. My clients don't have it. They get sorted with a low FODMAP diet. That could be a completely separate issue, nothing to do with IBS. So the internet can certainly scare you to death, and in particular Facebook. I know you've got to really put on your discerning part of your brain, switch it on when you go onto the internet for anything. You would believe that you're dying from a million different things if you read everything on the internet. So look, I'm not going to say that it's hooey or not. I don't know enough about it. I just know that my clients get better with the low FODMAP diet. Do you think peppermint capsules should be taken? If so, how many? As I said, 80% of people with IBS have reflux, and peppermint, mint, spearmint, all those mints will make your reflux worse because it increases the acid in the stomach. But it helps IBS because it increases the acid in the stomach, and the acid helps the digestion. So it's a bit of a catch-22. It's a catch-22. If you have reflux, I'd say don't touch it. If you don't have reflux, yes, take it. I've had severe IBS for 35 years with exclusively diarrhea. Yours is the easy one to solve, unlike mine, the constipation side. I take 6 to 10 Imodium daily. After 15 years of this, it is no longer working. Does low FODMAP diet work for exclusive diarrhea IBS? I've done many exclusion diets, and GI did not think FODMAP would work. She gave several meds, none of which worked. Unfortunately, still most GIs don't know very much about the low FODMAP diet, even though that is changing and getting better all the time, because it's now had that second study at the University of Michigan to back up the first one. The medical profession doesn't take on the results of just one research study. They need a second one with the same results. And since that only happened last year, the word is only just starting to spread through the medical profession. IBS with diarrhea is really easy to solve, really easy. Within days, your diarrhea stops and your bloating stops. Why I said recording was I saw something flashing recording in the corner of my screen, and that's because we are recording. Really easy to sort IBS with diarrhea. IBS with constipation is tougher. We have to layer this kind of extra diet over the top for the constipation, and that's about getting the fat and the fiber levels really right for us as individuals. I've had IBS with constipation all my life. I have it under control, but I can't really let my guard down ever. So really simple. I'm sorry to hear you've been through that, Kate. That actually sounds very much like that client I just spoke about with the white tongue. She was very, very similar. So the low FODMAP diet, pretty sure it would work for you because you've got a diagnosis of IBS. So that's the key. Do I have to be careful with the kind of multivitamins I take? Yes, absolutely. Everything that goes in your mouth counts. Everything counts. And that includes medication and supplements. If you don't need the supplement medically, I wouldn't be on it while you're doing the elimination diet. I tell all my clients to go off them, except for vitamin D. We're low in vitamin D, so keep that one. But there are many high FODMAP inactive ingredients in supplements, unfortunately. And some of them can make things worse. For example, if you're taking calcium and you've got IBS with constipation, that's going to increase your constipation. If you're taking magnesium with diarrhea, that's going to make your diarrhea worse. So you've kind of got to know what it is you're putting into your body. So for the elimination stage, it's best to take them out, and then you can always test them later if you feel that they're necessary. All right, do you have to be careful with the, oh no, it's just been written twice. Can you use artificial sweeteners? Most artificial sweeteners are high FODMAP. They come under the group polyols. They end with the OL. Those are not a good idea. It's better for us actually to just have sugar if we want something a little bit sweet. On the other hand, aspartame is low FODMAP. but of course it's got so many hideous health things attached to it. I would never recommend that you have that. I would stay away from artificial sweeteners right across the board. And if you need something a little bit sweet, then have a bit of sugar. Well, not a bit of sugar, have it in a biscuit or something. I'm not saying go and have a teaspoon of sugar. When we start this diet, can we stop medicines like Normatil? Any medicines that are purely for your IBS, it is better to stop them because they will actually disguise what's happening and confuse us with what's happening with the low Fodmap diet. Any medication that is not to do with IBS, obviously you don't stop without talking to your doctor. But something that's not saving your life, like blood pressure medication, etc., that is just to stop up diarrhea or to help constipation, that should be stopped, or we don't get a clear picture of what to adjust to make things right for you. Can I drink warm lemon water in the mornings, juice of 1 lemon with warm water for digestion? That's too much. We can only have 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. That's low Fodmap. So you'd get more than that out of a lemon. So that's not a good idea at all. Also, of course, lemon will, excuse me, lemon will make reflux worse if you've got reflux. All the citrus fruits make reflux worse. So that's not a great idea. I do remember my doctor many decades ago telling me to do that. I'm just quickly checking to see if I've missed any, because I had missed that one. Should we stop taking low-dose aspirin? It depends why you're taking aspirin. If your doctor's put you on aspirin for thinning your blood, please don't stop it. I mean, that can't be anything to do with IBS, I wouldn't imagine, aspirin. I've never heard of that anyway. So definitely do not stop medications that your doctor has put you on that are keeping you alive. In fact, just an interesting little side thing here, when my son had his horrendous motorbike accident and had a 7-hour operation to put him all back together again, he was afterwards, of course, on a blood thinner, and I think it was aspirin that he was taking to thin his blood, because blood clots are so dangerous after an operation, being immobile like that. It's a bit like in a plane. And so we had them for, I can't remember how many weeks he had to take the aspirin. And he's got a girlfriend, and I know she's not on here so I can say this, who is into everything natural, and she bought him some Arnica. And what is it that you use for bruises and things? Arnica. She bought him some Arnica to take. Now, Arnica encourages blood clots, because that's what you put on when you cut yourself or a bruise, to stop the bleeding, to clot up the blood. So that would have exactly contradicted what the aspirin was trying to do in keeping his blood thin. So fortunately I saw her doing it and stopped her. She actually had the pills towards his mouth when I said, what is that? And it was Arnica, which you must never take after an operation. I have an underactive thyroid and have for many years. I take thyroid medication every day. So that's something that would affect the Fodmap diet. A lot of my clients have hypothyroidism, the low underactive thyroid. There really does seem to be a link between that and IBS. The medication takes quite a while to get that right for you as an individual, so I would not be playing with that, not playing with it at all. If it's affecting your IBS, we'll try and fix it in other ways, but don't play with your thyroid medication. Arnica, that's it. I got it in the end, Karen. That's the one. So that's just a word of warning with a lot of those natural things, because people who are giving them to you don't know enough about it. They can actually be harming you with a lot of those things. And I definitely get my clients to stop all herbs, herbal supplements, absolutely, when they start the elimination stage. They can test them later, and see if it helps or not. I have a gluten and malt allergy. Now, gluten means celiac, because we now know from, again, research studies that you're not sensitive to the gluten in wheat, it's the fructans in wheat. It amounts to the same thing. You can't have wheat, so we're not too worried about that. But that is part of one of the Fodmap groups, wheat, barley and rye, which all contain gluten and fructans. So that is naturally out of the low Fodmap diet anyway, so you don't have to worry about that. Malt, that's the first time I've actually heard of a malt allergy, and that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Obviously you have it, but of my clients, I've never had a client with a malt allergy, so that's a very interesting one to know about. And I'm not even sure where you would find the malt except for in a malt drink. Where do you find malt? Maybe you can enlighten us on that one, Fran. What foods malt is in. All right, I think I've covered all the questions. Oh, wait a minute. I've got some over in the chat again. I take hyaluronic acid and borage oil. Should I stop taking them? If they weren't recommended by your doctor for a health issue, yes, I would stop taking them. Not just because I've actually got no clue what they are, and they could be high FODMAP, but because the oil part of them is fat, and fat is a gut irritant. Is spastic colon the same as IBS? It's not exactly the same, but you will often get a diagnosis of a spastic colon or a loopy colon, different things like that when you have IBS. In fact, again, that particular client with the white tongue has a very loopy, that was the word they used, loopy bowel, that was all twisted and contorted. And yet on the low FODMAP diet, she's 100,000% better. So a spastic colon sounds like one that's, cramping. And of course, with IBS, our colon cramps. The minute it gets irritated, it cramps, and that causes that unbearable pain. I'm afraid it could affect my IBS and reflux. Please, for your skin. What could affect your IBS and reflux? One, for your, you put that oil on your skin, or do you drink it? If you put it on your skin, no problem at all. If you're drinking it, I would stop it. Or you take pills. You know what I would do? I would stop while you were on the elimination diet and then test it afterwards, because once your symptoms are gone, it's very, very easy to see when they come back. You've got this level playing field and the symptoms just bounce off it. You feel sick really quickly. Right, that's all in the chat. Take that away again. And no more questions. Oh, wait a minute. Can you have oats? They advertise non-gluten oats. Remembering that our problem is not with gluten. If we have IBS, our problem is with the fructans in wheat, barley and rye, not gluten. We do not have to eat gluten-free, unless you're celiac, of course. In fact, if I give you one message today, learn this. Gluten-free does not equal low FODMAP. Gluten-free foods are often high FODMAP. They contain things like almond meal, coconut flour, soya flour, that are all high FODMAP. Gluten-free does not equal low FODMAP. So we can have oats, and it doesn't matter if they've got some gluten in there, as long as they don't have too many fructans. So oats we can only have roundabouts a quarter of a cup raw. Now there's different sorts of oats, and if you look at the Monash app, you'll see that for some you can have quarter of a cup, some you can have half a cup. I recommend across the board quarter of a cup. It's quite a strong form of fiber, so it's good to try it if you've got IBS with constipation, definitely. And I have it every morning, but I have a quarter of a cup raw measurement, and I actually have it raw, but you can cook it as well. No more than that, or you'll definitely not only go over into the high FODMAP, but it'll be too high in fiber for you, and your symptoms will come back. But if you've got the constipation, definitely try it in the morning. And now we really have reached the end of the questions. All right, well, I'm glad that you have all managed to get your questions answered. Now, just remember the workshop. It's strandsofmylife.com/free forever. Go there. It tells you all about it. It doesn't take you immediately to click. You learn exactly what you get in the workshop, and then you click through and join, and I will get all your registration done for you. And you can have access, as soon as I've registered you, immediately for the membership site, and you can get those meal plans, you can get the diary, and you can get the bonus videos already, and you can join the Facebook group already. But those who have joined the Facebook group, only a few have joined so far. They're being very quiet in there, but we haven't officially started, so that's fine. Anyway, as I said, lots of fun. People get wonderful results from this, and I dedicate my 2 weeks to you guys once you're in there. Right, I am now going to say goodbye and close out the webinar. It has been recorded, so I'll get the recording downloaded and edited and everything. It can take sometimes about a day. I'll see how long it takes, but it will definitely be up tomorrow, and I'll send you all out an email with the link if you want to listen through it again, or for anybody who has missed it, of course. All right, well, thank you for coming, and thank you for all your questions, and I'm going to say goodbye.